Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Big Ten Breakfast Bankroll Preview, Turkey Edition, Feast Week. The last show me and Riley will be doing today. And I tell you what, we have gotten probably 2-3 inches of rain overnight. The wind is howling, like gale force winds here. Thank God it's not snow. I'm going to give this a shot here. I have a couple scheduled shows later this afternoon. It already looks like the internet is dragging. And I just look up at our studio, and I'm wondering what's going on. We are not live on Twitter for some reason. So maybe this is an omen. I don't know. You can catch us live on Facebook right now, on YouTube, and of course on Twitch. So apologies to anyone on Twitter expecting to find us or X. Please go over to our YouTube station at East Coast Sports Investors. Shout out to the gentleman behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Evan Lewis, Cabe, Olu, and Bennett. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership with WagerWire. Hopefully Travis got to Alaska fine. He's heading out there for Thanksgiving to be with family. But if you have not downloaded the app, please download the app at Google Play, wherever you may download your apps. Amazing app, so many tools. ECSI will be doing a lot of work in the next upcoming months and hopefully years on a daily basis, getting to teach you guys to keep track of your ROI, to track your bets, to take advantage of some of the bonuses, the free plays that some of the other companies that are working with WagerWire and that are available in your state to take care of there. We have just over a month left till Christmas. Send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you, Travis, Zach, the rest of the team and community over there will take good care of you there as well. So without further ado, let's hope this works. Let's bring them in. The one and only Mr. SouthSide Riley. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend. Happy Wednesday morning. Usually Friday morning we got these things going. I can see you, and we've got you rocking and rolling so far. It looks like it might be a little choppy, but I think we can get through this. And at the very least, maybe it's an omen to kind of skim through and trim the turkey fat, if you will, a little bit here, and maybe leave off maybe the Indiana-Purdue type games on the Big Ten slate and hammer home the big ones here. Because we've obviously got the game of the year, the de facto Big Ten championship in college football, as well as we've had an awesome week of college basketball already. And if you didn't see it last night, a couple of awesome games last night. The Purdue-Tennessee game, really good. Finally, great showing this week from a couple of Big Ten teams. You and I talked about that Wisconsin team kind of looking yourself in the mirror spot against Virginia, and they showed up. It ended up being a paint-drying game. contrary to what we might have thought, a little more than what we thought there. But Wisconsin showed up for sure in that one. Then Purdue showed up last night and had a nice win. And we've obviously got a huge match in Hawaii there for Marquette and Purdue today. I was going to say tonight, but it's actually this afternoon, I think. So I'm excited for that, and obviously a couple other Big Ten games. But yeah, for the most part, I think we can hammer home the hard hitting points here. But as of right now, I'm seeing you loud and clear, my friend.
There we go. Shout out to Mr. Billy Hewlin. Roll Tide. Give Rebecca a big hug. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family there. Yeah, we were on Monday night, and we talked about the Wisconsin basketball team. I thought it was a great spot. Good bounce back spot for them. We thought it would go over. The problem is I think Virginia ended up with like 41 points. Thanks for playing or something stupid there. I tagged you. It was funny because we had a great Monday show, great recap. We went right into the football game. And you know what? I was going back, Riley, in my head. I don't give out the first TD very often. I usually just say anytime TD, and I'll throw, a couple in there. And for some reason, I just had that vision of just like, I'm going with the first TD with Justin Watson, and then of course anytime D. And I'm sitting there watching the drive, and I'm like, holy shit! Oh my god!
It's a wild selection when you get the first touchdown. It's a shame. I used to have one of the public books a few years ago when they were first start rolling out in a lot of states. They would give you a nice promo where if you don't hit it on the first touchdown, but they score at any point in the game, you get their money back. And I made a lot of extra pizza and beer money that season because it was a lot of primetime games because you either get your money back or, you take a swing at one of the big boys. So maybe not a Justin Watson type for what I was doing in that case. But, no, the first touchdown scores could obviously be fun if you got plenty of stuff and action going on. So that kudos to you for that one, my friend. And solid game, obviously coming down to the wire there in the NFL on Monday and, shaking up the landscape a little bit in the AFC, or maybe not shaking it up, but obviously leaving the door open for a lot of teams to, get the first or second seed there. Obviously, only the first seed gets the bye, but I guess 2 seed potentially gives you the advantage there in that divisional and championship round if the 1 seed goes down. But obviously, the way the AFC is going right now, a 2-7 matchup probably is not going to be the same type of slouch like a 2-7 in the NFC is going to be there. So. Credit to the Eagles, obviously, for, obviously kind of tightening their grip on that 1 seed there. But, no, that was, obviously a good scrapping game. And, we were spot on with, a little more defensive action in that one and the under in that one. So, yeah, that was obviously a solid game to watch.
Big Ten, you talked about we got lucky. I'm going to say lucky. And how I preface this, you're going to laugh. Last night, the ECSI VIPs go 2-1. We had some afternoon action. We had the Zags team total over, I think it was 83, I think the number was, and got no second half push from Syracuse. So that was a thanks for playing. Had Bowling Green team total over 27.5. They scored 31 points in the first half. So that was very nice to get. And you talk about we had the Tennessee team total over 65.5 against Purdue. Tennessee jumps out to a 19-11 lead at the 10-minute mark of the first half. And you're like, all right, 65.5 is not a big ask. So you got 19 at the 10-minute mark. You're saying to yourself, well, obviously a great second 10 minutes, you're going to get 38 points. You're going to feel real comfortable. Well, they play grab ass, of course, and it was 31-30 at halftime. They scored 12 points the last second of the last 10 minutes. The funny is Purdue comes out guns a-blazing like their ass is on fire and takes an 8-point lead, which I was like, oh, here we go. Neither team could throw it in the ocean, and it was tight defense. Long story short, Riley, with 3 minutes left in the game, Tennessee's got 64 points. And I just wrapped up the Sports Map radio spot with Anthony from 8 to 10. So I was live at the compound with him, and he's looking at it. He's like, "You got this." And I'm like, "You have no idea. I don't." And so it was clank. It was clank. It was clank, clank, clank. And now Purdue's extended, 2-point, 4-point, 6-point lead. And I'm like, we're not going to get there. We had 3 minutes to get one bucket. And the clock's running, and there's like 36 seconds left. And I think they were up 6 or 7, and they launched a 3 and made it. If they missed that 3, they're probably not going to foul. And I would have got stuck on stupid. So we get there, but let me tell you, it was one of those in the back of your mind, right, that you're like, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get there.
No, and you got a little bit, maybe not the last two, but Purdue missing some free throws down the stretch to kind of keep them, in the spot of fire in there. So no, it was an interesting game to watch, and we talk about this Purdue team, already looking pretty similar to last year, which, despite the loss to FDU, is obviously a top 3 team for the entire season. Appears to be again this year. But if they can't throw it in the ocean, they're going to have the same problems at some point, and it's going to catch up to them, where if they're shooting 20% from beyond the arc with Zach Edey down low, teams are going to be able to hang with them and, either, light it up on their end of the floor or, obviously double team Edey and not be too afraid to let him kick it out there. So they've got to be able to find a way to knock these some of these shots down. And like I said, they don't have to be a top 50 in the country 3-point shooting team. They just need to not be bottom 50 in the country like they were, I think, last year. So interested to see if they can get it turned around. But as of right now, obviously, saying they need to turn it around when they're 5-0 and just beat Tennessee is obviously sounds silly, but you know what I mean. Where reaching that ceiling and being as dangerous as they can possibly be, they need to have some consistency behind the arc there.
Yeah, and hats off to Purdue. Again, a tough start. They rally the troops. They get within 1 before half. And that first 3-4 minutes in the second half, I mean, I'll say it 100 times. How do you win these college basketball games? Well, you finish strong the last 3 minutes of the first half, but you also have to come out guns a-blazing. You're making adjustments, the shots out. Well, Purdue comes out guns a-blazing. I don't have the exact number. I think they missed about 18 free throws. I really do. And Zach Edey in foul trouble, and Tennessee is legit. So hats off there. And I'll just pony up because the next game was supposed to be the game of the day. A true statement made by Marquette. You and I have already been talking about this Marquette team. We've been talking about Shaka, and a lot of people think this is a Final Four and if not championship team, the favorite to win the Big East. 8-point lead at half to Kansas. You could have got Kansas plus 205 on the money line if you thought they were going to come back. Again, I was waiting for that explosion in the first 4 or 5 minutes from Kansas. It came from Marquette and a yawner from Marquette last night. Big win.
Yeah, huge win, and I'm excited to see these games today. And the beauty of the Maui tournament is, despite Kansas and Tennessee losing those games, they get to play each other now today. So we get another, awesome top 10 matchup between Kansas and Tennessee there. So, from all facets, Marquette obviously looking good, and obviously already playing some big games and kind of cutting their teeth pretty early here, as opposed to walking through a cake schedule. You got this Maui tournament. Obviously, you had a tough game in Illinois, not just a tough game, but a tough environment. Early season, not as tough as it's going to be in January, February, but still a tough early season environment there. So, no, they're doing the right things early, even if they can't win today. Obviously, that's that might be, help them down the road. But you do like to see, we've had some Maui teams that win the Maui tournament and then go on to win the whole thing. It's happened a couple of times before, so you kind of like to see that, heart and grit to overcome that and win that. Obviously, it's not a death by any stretch of the measure if they can't win today, but. You kind of you've seen that kind of type of heart of a champion type stuff where they want that want that tournament win. And obviously, one that's as stacked as it is this year is going to be a nice feather in their cap if whoever wins this game today.
Yeah, and just the mindset. I'm just thinking of people that had Kansas yesterday over Marquette. I think the line closed around 3.5 there. And now seeing Marquette getting 3.5, which again, kudos to Purdue, favored there, which is a head scratcher because what you saw from the two games, I think you would really flock to this Marquette team. Gritty defensively, controlled every phase of the game against a Kansas team that some think are invincible. With Big Ten transfer of the year, of course, Mr. Dickerson there as well, and they're just a wagon. And so it's almost like one of those teases. Something's not adding up. I'm like, this I thought would be closer to a pick 'em, if not maybe Purdue -1.5, not 3.5. But we'll be interested there. But again, here, I can already tell you this. We could talk for hours today, and I don't want to do that to you and our listeners here. It's travel day. It's run to the grocery store day. It's survive monsoons, gale winds, or whatever. So I'm going to just throw it over to you. We got some big Big Ten college football games. I guess there's a big game at high noon on Saturday. Two teams win and they're probably in the Final Four and lose. And actually, let me just – I didn't watch it live. I don't know if you watch it live. The NCAA committee doing what they do best. And I don't agree with this because we talked about this, Riley. They have an out now with Jordan Travis being out for Florida State. And so what did they do? They moved Washington in front of Florida State. Now, they already set Florida State back. Now, they play Florida, and then they're going to play Louisville in the championship. If they win both of those games, they're still going to be undefeated. They're going to be ACC champs. But moving Washington to the 4th spot, and obviously if everything works out this week, a Washington-Oregon rematch, which to me means the Pac-12's in. If Washington cheats, obviously they're in. They're 6-point underdogs on the rematch. Or if Oregon wins, they're going to jump Florida State and get in. Thoughts on the move there? Did you expect it? Is it fair? Were you surprised?
I didn't watch it live to answer that question. I saw some of the comments though, and the interesting thing is that they said it didn't have anything to do with Jordan Travis's injury, which and it had everything to do with what Washington did beating Oregon State, which you can take that for however you want to say it. But in my opinion, I thought Washington had the better resume going into that in the first place. But so I guess I wasn't too surprised by that. And to say that it doesn't have to do with Jordan Travis, it was kind of interesting. But and then saying, well, it's what Washington did to Oregon State. Well, then, to Oregon State, and now you can stick with the comment of it doesn't have anything to do with Jordan Travis. If Oregon beats Washington, they jump Florida State because they beat an undefeated Washington. It's what they did to Washington. If Alabama jumps them, it's because they beat Georgia. So they have that kind of out of saying that. So it didn't surprise me too much. And I'd need some true serum to know if there's any possible way that they get in without Jordan Travis. Like we talked about, if they put up a couple 40-50 burgers against Florida and Louisville, is that enough now with their current situation without Jordan Travis to get him in? If obviously Ohio State, Michigan, one of these teams loses, I don't know. Like you said, I would Pac-12 is essentially in. Washington obviously for sure, and Oregon. I think I know you agree, definitely deserves to be in if they win that game there. So it wasn't too surprising to me. I kind of expect Florida State to not put up 40-50. As I said, that's kind of their path, but I don't expect that. So I think the NCAA is kind of making their bed a little bit here and is not afraid to lie in it and keep Florida State out of there. Because not only obviously you got a backup quarterback, but you lose Jordan Travis, who's been obviously a guy that people turn the TV on for. You take that away, that's obviously they're gonna prefer a Georgia-Oregon matchup or a Michigan-Washington, Michigan-Oregon, Michigan-Bama, Ohio State band. They're obviously gonna prefer those matchups to a Georgia-Florida State matchup without Jordan Travis. So. I think it's hard pressed for Florida State to get in there and find their way in it without any type of mass chaos going on, or like we said, putting up some ridiculous style points and looking just as fine without Jordan Travis there. So I think they're on the on the outside looking in, and with the semifinals being some of the the New Year's Six bowl games. I don't know off the top of my head what type of automatic bid they get in one of the New Year's Six bowls and which one they are entitled to or whatnot. But obviously they'll get some type of New Year's Six bowl for sure there. So I think that's probably what they'll be looking forward to, and probably won't be too happy about it. And I think they'll like you mentioned UCF the other day. I mean. Florida State, maybe not, because they actually do have some national championships, obviously, in their past. But, if they want to claim the 2023 national championship like they did in the old days with an undefeated record, I don't think anyone's going to laugh at them too much. But, we'll see. We'll see if that happens. But no, I think it's going to be tough for them to get themselves in there.
Yeah, and again, it's going to come down to, hey, listen, next year we won't have this problem. But the funny thing is, the top 12 teams, whoever gets snubbed at 13 or 14 is going to, stick their chest out and say, how could you leave us? It doesn't matter. It's like the NCAA March Madness tournament. They got 65 teams or 66 teams, whatever they got in there now. 67, 68. Dickie V's already chanting, these three teams. How could you snub these three teams? But, I feel for Florida State because we were already talking, how are they going to snub them even if they did go undefeated with Jordan Travis? And for the kids, they're going to say, we did everything that we could. We won every game. We beat every team in front of us. They're not taking enough stock in the LSU team. When opening day, they're not taking any stock going to Death Valley and winning in Clemson. And in the back of my mind, I'll just say this tongue-in-cheek here, an undefeated Clemson team always gets to the Final Four. We know they are. So something little snaky there. And again, hopefully we haven't had picks Florida State off. So that's good, That's a moot point. Georgia beats Alabama, and so we don't have to worry about that. So now it'll be that Texas team sitting there if they win the Big 12. And so you got a Big 10, and you got a Georgia, you got a Pac-12, and then Texas is able to get in there. Now there's a funny story for you right there. An undefeated Florida State team with an ACC title or a lost Texas team, with a Big 12 title, and them chirping, hey, we won at Bama. But so popsicle headache times 1,000 again. So I digress. So I'll give you the floor, my brother.
No, it's a great conversation. This is and it obviously would diminish the Ohio State Michigan game, but of all the years to have at least an 8-team playoff, I'm sad that this isn't the year. I mean, the last couple of years, a lot of the years in the past, it would still be, one of the top two teams steamrolling their way through. But this would have been an awesome playoff to have an expanded playoff with some of these teams and how good they are. And, again, it would take away this conversation. And obviously, Georgia, Bama, SEC title would not be as big because both teams would be in. Ohio State, Michigan wouldn't be as big this weekend because both teams would be in. But then you would have some incredible matchups going forward beyond that. So I'm excited for that going forward if we can keep, some level of parity like we've got this year, though. But anyways, we do not have that yet, and we got a big one in the Big Ten this weekend. Let's maybe clear the way a little bit with a couple of these other ones that I'm sure people are dying to hear about first. But there is one on Friday, Black Friday. Nebraska trying to get bowl eligible. Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa is clinched with the Big Ten West at 2 losses. Even if they lose, they will still be seeing the winner of that Ohio State-Michigan game there. But Nebraska 2.5-point favorites at home here, and you mentioned it the other day, a 26.5 on the game total for this one. A beauty, as you mentioned, not a Army-Navy game. This is a Big Ten. This is an Iowa game these days here, and obviously they were pretty low the last few years, but obviously a new low this year. And 15-13 last week. 28 stays under against Illinois. 22 zip the week before that for Iowa there. And but it's a Nebraska team. Didn't quite show up as much last week against Wisconsin, but against offenses that aren't the top half of the Big Ten. They've been handling business on defense in this Nebraska team. So I understand why, with how many Iowa unders have gone in a row, why this one is dropped. And it would not surprise me if it's right around there. But as far as these team totals are concerned, you've got a Nebraska team total of, I see 13.5 minus 120 to the over, 12.5, even 11.5 in some spots for Iowa to the over here. Any thought that maybe one of these teams goes over that team total, and we might see a barn-burning 14, 17-point victorious performance from one of these two teams?
The only thing I would take in the over here is field goals. I really do. I would. We were talking a few weeks ago. Matt Rule is back. Nebraska's back. One win away from bowl eligibility. That loss to Michigan State really started the downfall. And Iowa just death by 10,000 paper cuts. A game, don't forget, a few weeks ago, they should have lost to Minnesota on that fair catch that was ruled called back. You know what? There's some money that came in. This was a pick. Nebraska won. Overnight, it's gone to 2.5. Obviously, I'm rooting for Nebraska. I just think they find a way not to win this game. I'm not going to take Iowa. I'm not going to take the under. I'm going to stay far, far away from this. But this has got 13-10 written all over it, 10-9. I wouldn't be shocked literally if there was just one touchdown scored and 4 or 5 field goals. There's no quarterback play on the Nebraska side. They have a good defense. They don't have a good offense. Iowa has a great defense. They have no offense. And all the pressure in the whole wide world is on Matt Rule in Nebraska. Now, you punch one in early, you get up 7-0, you play defense, kick 2 field goals, get up 13-0, 13-3. Now you're cooking with Crisco. As soon as Iowa gets up, the pressure of win and in bowl eligible first year is now the whole sea of red is now the sea of dread. And they have no I don't see it, Riley. They had opportunities. You had to beat that Michigan State team. You had opportunities. Now it's all against the team that you don't want to face because it's a mirror image of yourself. And 3rd and 8 to Nebraska is like 3rd and 28. They can't move the chains. They can't. So I'll say that, and I haven't been on this Iowa under train. I haven't. I've never seen a 26.5, even for Army, Navy. I said earlier in the week, first 1 to 13 wins this game. I'll stick with that, and I'll be nice and say 13-10. But I don't think there's 2 touchdowns scored in this game.
No, it's really gross, and there's a reason why Iowa is 9-2, and it's a great point that you made. If this was 3-4 weeks ago, the pressure would probably be on Iowa because they're they're expected to win this game. They've got nothing to lose. Even they obviously like to win and want to be a 10-win team. But if they lose, they're still walking right into the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State or Michigan. So they have nothing to lose. And as you mentioned, the Nebraska offense just is not good enough. You got this Iowa defense is a top 10 defense in the country. I know they've played a weak schedule. But this defense has been as legit as possible the last 3 years, and it's really frustrating for an Iowa fan that their offense has been as bad as it is because another situation where even if it's the 80th best offense in the country, they're probably a heck of a lot better than what they've been the last few years. But when you give them an offense that is kind of incapable of moving the ball against an average Big Ten defense, they lick their chops, and it's a game where it's first 1 to 10-13. So I'm with you. Maybe they're kind of just snoozing in this game and they don't care, but I would find that hard pressed to believe here because a 10-win season is a nice feather in your cap there. So I'm with you. We also seen these Iowa lines where that Purdue comes into Iowa and it's a less than a field goal spread, and you're kind of scratching your head, and then Iowa takes care of business. They've had a couple of those like that. So I kind of put it in that similar category, and I'm not getting myself into it, but I'm with you. I don't see how Nebraska can score more than 7, 10 points, like you said, 9, 10, 12 points or anything like that. So I'm with you on this one for sure. Alrighty, let's see here. Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Yeah, it will be.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Alrighty, yeah, no, I was just moving along. Illinois Northwestern, another one, 6-5, 5-6. Illinois 5.5 point favorites. I don't know what to expect out of this one. I do think Illinois. I mean, they should have the motivation here at home against their in-state rival to get to bowl eligibility. I wouldn't take Illinois as more than a field goal favorites at this point, really, against anyone here, other than maybe a couple teams. But even so, probably not. The optimistic point for this one is that, and last year obviously was a different case because Illinois was a far superior team to Northwestern. But even the year before that, Illinois, with Brett Bielema against Northwestern, has been absolutely dominant. A couple 40 burgers for Illinois, and pretty low-scoring affair on the other side for Northwestern. Like I said, last year I think it was a 2-touchdown spread at the end of the year. Illinois, much better team. But the year before that, kind of a situation similar to this one. Spread touchdown or less there. Illinois, wins going away there. So I'm not touching Illinois because I don't think they're, playing, or they are playing a lot better, obviously. But they're, Northwestern has obviously had some games where they, show up and stick with some of these teams in the Big Ten here. So I'm not laying the points with Illinois, but I'll lean towards them getting the win here at home against Northwestern.
I had a 5 with a 45.5, 5.5 with a 47. So people flock into the over. Disappointed with Illinois last week, especially, and this is a perfect spot for them. And this is when Northwestern's their most dangerous in my eyes. I too leaned Illinois. The hardest part about this week is those bowl eligible teams. Who's fighting for a bowl game? So we just assume, that they're going to win because they're motivated. And we know what happens when we assume. We make an ass out of you and me. So I'm going to tread lightly here. I lean to the Northwestern side, even though, again, Illinois motivated. They expect some points to be scored on both sides here. I'll 47, I'll go that 24-23. Illinois late field goal to get bowl eligible. But I think Northwestern, and I've been spot on this team all year. I think Northwestern is sneaky here.
No, I agree completely. And you and I have been very good at some of these teams that have been looking good in the Big Ten. And it's like, this team has absolutely no business being 5, 6, 7, 8 point favorites against anybody, let alone another team that's kind of similar in success rate here in the Big Ten. So you and I have been good on a lot of those type of games in the Big Ten on these morning shows of saying, why is this team that's a 500 team more than a field goal favorite there? So I will be rooting for Illinois to get the win and get bowl eligible. But no, I'm with you as far as Northwestern being sneaky for sure on that one. Skipping over Penn State, Michigan State. I guess I was surprised to see that spread. Not that surprised, but Penn State 21-point favorites. Don't have anything too much to say about that one. Michigan State 4-7. Penn State just trying to get that win to get to 10 wins, and potentially we'll see what shakes out. Not sure if they'll have a shot at getting a New Year's Six bowl or not, but that factor is alive there. Indiana, Purdue 3.5-point favorites. I was wrong about them last week against Northwestern. Thought they would get that win at home here. I don't want to lay the 3.5 against Indiana, who has shown some life here and there these last few weeks. Could see them winning by a field goal, so kind of staying away from that. I'll lean towards Purdue again here, second week in a row, getting the win at home, staying alive and, having some momentum for next year 2 of this coaching regime. So moving past that one a little bit here. Wisconsin, Minnesota is another case, though, kind of like that Illinois Northwestern game where you've got a 6-5, 5-6 team. 2.5-point favorite, Wisconsin on the road in this one. And I you had a 24-17 Wisconsin performance, and the one situation I had, if Wisconsin's losing at halftime, I said this Wisconsin team with Tanner Mordecai, who's been back these last 2 games earlier in the season, they were very good at, or I shouldn't say very good, but kind of slow going through the motions, grab ass, as you like to say, in the first half, and then get the weight off of them in the second half and excel. And I actually took some live action on Wisconsin at half last week. They win in overtime 24-17, so not exactly the most star-studded offensive performance. Get a touchdown in overtime. So 24-17 there. Minnesota obviously not playing well down the stretch. Got the doors beat off them by Ohio State. That's to be expected, but not so great defensive performances against Purdue and Illinois, though, 2 weeks before that to kind of put them in this position of being 5-6 here. So as far as another one where again you might expect Minnesota to step up in this one to get bowl eligible. I do think this is going to be a really good game. These teams have played a lot of really good games lately. Kind of another one where I think you might see a nice second half surge from Wisconsin to kind of do the same thing again here. If I'm being honest with you here, Minnesota has won the last 2. I do think I think Wisconsin's going to have some motivation to end that streak. This is for anyone who's not aware, this is a decent rivalry, kind of a bitter rivalry between these 2 teams here, Wisconsin and Minnesota here. So I don't have a strong lean this way. Excuse me. I could see this one going either which way, but I'll go with another late second half push from Wisconsin to their team total 21.5. I'll go 24-20, 24-21 Wisconsin in this one here.
My true numbers were 2.5 for the 43. Now 2.5 with a 42. They gave you the carrot right there, Riley. 21 and a hook. They didn't give you 21. They didn't give you 20.5. So it looks like you might get to that 23 or 24 number there. I think they got this one nailed. I think it's 23-20, whether it's Minnesota on a late second field goal or Wisconsin. What did they give you for a Wisconsin team total? Did they give you the old 19.5?
You mean Minnesota? I saw 20.5.
Yes. They gave you 20.5, yeah. So yeah, the eyes would say Minnesota gets stuck on 20 or less, and you probably get Wisconsin to that 23. So this has got the 23-20, 23-17, but I like where your eyes are.
Yeah. No, again, you got the angle of the bowl situation there for Minnesota. The other ones, both teams 6-5, Maryland, Rutgers. Maryland 1-point favorite on the road here. Kind of an interesting clashing of styles in this one. Maryland puts up a good fight against Michigan last week, won the week before that 13-10 against Nebraska. Rutgers had been 6-2, obviously three losses in a row. Ohio State, Iowa, and Penn State there. They are both bowl eligible here. Maryland has been the victor in this matchup the last handful of years. Aside from a few years ago, Rutgers getting the win as a 3-point dog there. Maryland 1.5-point favorites on the road here. I don't quite know what to expect out of this one with some clashing styles here. Both teams, they've got team totals 21.5, 22.5. I like this Rutgers defense in certain spots here. Maryland offense obviously can score it. So this one kind of to me feels like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If I go into Rutgers, then Tua's little brother is going to be throwing for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. If I go to Maryland, he's throwing 4 picks. That's kind of my gut feeling with this one, is that I'm staying far away from that respect. But I'll lean towards Maryland on the road in this one.
The hard part about sports wagering, sports betting, sports investing, whatever we want to call it today, is when you use mind, when you use logic, when you use theory. We talk about, it's a must win, therefore they win. They must win and they'll be bowl eligible. And for me in this game, and I'm looking at the numbers here, I'll preface it this way. Where are we here? My true number was Maryland 2.5 for the 45. It's down to 1 with a 44.5, and it's actually a pick at Bet Online. And here's my logic or theory. Maryland poured their hearts out last week. They played their asses off, and now they gotta get off the mat and travel to. It's the last game of your meaningless game. You said both already bowl eligible versus a team that just faced the iron and lost 3 in a row. So my mind, my head, my eyes would be Rutgers. Listen, tough bounce back spot for Maryland. It's going to be a lot easier to move the ball against this Maryland team versus, what'd you say, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, or whatever they faced their last 3 weeks. So my mind, my eyes, my logic says Rutgers here. And then this will probably be a Rutgers halftime lead. And Maryland and Tua come storming back. And what was my true number here? 45. So 24-21 Maryland. How's that sound?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And like I said, for me, this one just feels like a game where if I do anything, the exact opposite is going to happen in astonishing fashion. So I'm leaving myself out of this one. But you're absolutely right. I mean, 31-24, like you said, poured your heart out for that game, and it didn't happen. So, now you got to go on the road. Again, all things you're saying are making perfect sense to me. So, of course, yeah, like you said, Rutgers lead at half, or Rutgers wins by 100. Or Maryland wins by 100. Who knows? So I'm out on that game because next one up, obviously the game people are coming here for this show. Ohio State and Michigan at Michigan Stadium, Ann Arbor, the Big House. Michigan -3.5 on the spread for this one, which obviously is very different than the last 2 years, which were last year Ohio State, I believe 8.5, 9. The year before that. I think it was 6.5 Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously we know what happens. Not only does Michigan win, they win at least on the final score fairly convincingly in both of those games there. Won 2 years ago in Michigan, last year in Ohio State, now back in Michigan. Now Michigan finds themselves as the favorite, 45.5, 46 on the team total, 21.5 team total for Ohio State. 24.5 for Michigan there. And this one's interesting now because you and I have kind of been on the same page with this Ohio State team of not really believing in them in the same way that maybe we respected them in the past here with this Ohio State team. And it's kind of tough to judge right now because they're putting up some big numbers finally offensively, but obviously against some lower level Big Ten opponents here. But similar to what Michigan did, obviously, and steamrolled everybody. Now you've got all the narratives around Michigan going on. Kind of played around with Maryland a little bit last week, obviously. Had a tough, hard-fought win against Penn State the week before that. So I am seeing some public money coming into Ohio State on the +3.5. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing there with Ohio State there, but I could see this one being. I do respect Ohio State's defense this year. I like what I've seen from them. It's kind of just for if you're liking Ohio State, it's kind of a matter of is Kyle McCord going to have time to throw, and if so, is he hitting the spots well here? And Kyle McCord is obviously been a question mark of how good can he be. If he's great, then obviously they're putting up 35, 40 points. If not, then it's kind of the lower scoring games like we've seen. So. I'm kind of going towards a lower scoring, not a low scoring, paint drying, 26.5 total type of affair. That's not what I'm saying here. But in regards to, what the expectation might be and what we've seen from the last 2 years where Michigan was coming close to this game total by themselves almost, I'm kind of seeing both teams maybe sticking in the 20s this time around.
The one part of the popsicle headache that we didn't bring up, again, there would need a lot of things to happen. But what happens if this is an Ohio State 24-23 walk-off, and let's say Georgia beats Alabama, Florida State loses a game, let's say Washington sheets. My point is now the Michigan fans are saying, hey, we've been up top all year long. We didn't have our coach, and now we lose on a walk-off 48-yarder by Ohio State. It's not fair. We still deserve to stay in the top 4 rankings. Is that going to happen? I don't have a good feel for this game. I really don't. Part of me wants to, Lane, Michigan here. They've won 2 years in a row. 2 years they were dogs. They were unexpected, not supposed to win. And now they're home. My true number on this game, where's my eyes here? True number is 4 with a 46.5. Both your team totals lean towards the over. Here, I'd like to say first one, maybe the 24 wins this game. Here's what I'm going to say to everyone watching and listening to this show. If you like Ohio State and you think they're going to win the game, don't bet the game. Go find yourself Ohio State to get into the playoffs. You're getting better value because they're outside looking in, meaning the loser of this game most likely is out. So you should be able to shop around and get better value. You can even take them to win the national title, and you'll have an opportunity. I don't know if they beat Michigan, where they'll fall and who they'll play. Would it go? They're not going to – if Georgia wins, they're not going to go to 1, so they'd be stuck at 2. They play the number 3 team in the country, and maybe that is Washington or maybe that is Oregon. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, Ohio State, Washington, maybe Ohio State's -1 in that game. So you could be sitting with a plus. Do you have in front of you, Riley, what Ohio State is right now to win the championship?
I can get it here real quick, but no, like you mentioned, and some of those scenarios aren't that crazy as far as both of them being in the playoff too. Especially you get a 2-loss Alabama gone, 2-loss Oregon gone. Florida State loses, or even shoot a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State up against a Jordan Travis-less Florida State. Would not shock me if they jumped them. And then it really comes down to Texas as a 1-loss Big 12 championship team. Hard to put one of these teams over them, I think, especially with that Bama win. But I don't think it would be the craziest thing in the world to say that Texas could lose in the Big 12 championship. I mean, we're not expecting it, obviously, but it's not crazy. But as far as national championship odds to win the whole thing, Ohio State is 5-1, plus 500 right now.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Russell Saylor. Just said he's got 6-1. Now listen, everyone wants to hold the golden ticket. Oh, I got Ohio State plus 3.5, and they're probably on the money line plus around 145 or whatever the number is. I get it. It's only one game. But, and again, I'm not here advocating for Ohio State. I'm not. But the fact of the matter is that anyone that likes Ohio State, not just to cover this game and win this game, if you want to play the game, fine, God bless you. Play them plus 3.5, play them plus 4. If you want to sprinkle some beer and pizza money on them on the money line, plus 135, 40, whatever the number is. But my point is, right now, Russell got plus 624 at Bookmaker. Okay? I'd rather have a plus 624 in my hand to win the national title. Do I think Ohio State's going to win the national title? No, I don't. Russell and everyone else here knows my love affair for Oregon. Everyone here knows 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, I gave out Alabama plus 2,000. So my point is, let's say Alabama wins and beats Georgia. I got a plus 2,000 here. And let's just say I got Ohio State plus 624. That's what you want to have in tow in your resume when you're getting to the Final Four. You want a plus 2,000. You want a plus 624. Bookmaker has yes, no wages for the top 8 teams. Okay, thank you so much, Russell. By the way, Russell, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. So again, the mentality, what I'm really trying to engage to all our followers, all our people that watch and listen to our show regularly is if you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan or you're late to the party, Riley, and now you're coming down to the game. It's at high noon at Ann Arbor, and you really like Ohio State, go grab some plus 600. Go grab some plus 624. And like Russell said, Alabama now minus 1,100 not to win it all. They're right now, the true number was 3, went to 3.5. Now I'm seeing Georgia -4 there. I'm going to tell you, the whole world's going to be on Alabama, and it's a disrespect game for Georgia because Georgia, unlike 2 years ago, knew they could lose and still be in. Well, Georgia doesn't know that this year. If they lose to Alabama and everything plays out the wrong way for them, they could be outside looking in. So I don't have a strong feel in this game. I don't. Gun to my head, I think Michigan finds a way to win this game. Defensive stop, turnover. My true number for the total was 46.5. Did you say the Michigan team totals 24.5?
I can double check, but I believe that's what I saw. Yes, 24.5.
I would not be shocked. Michigan gets to 27. I'll go on record right now. 27-21 Michigan. That's what I'll go on record with here.
I'll take it. I'm with you. I think I've struggled with trying to not be married to my early season predictions, and Ohio State offense hasn't looked quite as good as I was expecting. I do respect their defense. I think I went on record early and said Ohio State gets the revenge, back in their favor and wins this game. But Michigan is just a bully team, and they don't have really any serious weaknesses. Certainly not any weaknesses that Ohio State doesn't have themselves. So, they're obviously going to be ready to rock. If this was in Ohio State, I think that might get me lean towards Ohio State. But being back in Michigan here and to continue that, obviously not ownership, because obviously Ohio State's got the last 2 decades, under their cap for sure. Obviously, pretty lopsided. But at the end of the day, this Michigan team is so damn good. So I'll lean towards something similar to you. I think, but I'll stick with my early prediction and say Ohio State gets the revenge, and I'll do 27-24 Ohio State. And again, I do not think that they will win the championship. I don't believe in them quite to that level. But you have to go back to a year ago. Again, obviously they had C.J. Stroud, but a long field goal away from taking down or going to overtime with that Georgia team, who obviously is 2-time defending champions there. So they're going to have a chance. They're going to have a chance if they get there. Again, I don't quite believe in Kyle McCord enough for them to get there, but we've seen crazier things than an Ohio State quarterback getting hot at the right time. So I'll go against. I'll just go against it for the sake of fun, because I don't have a real sense of feel for this one. I've been waiting to watch this one. I think it's going to be an awesome game. That's my feel, is that it's just going to be a good game. But I'll go on record and go against you and say Ohio State wins this one.
And I'm replaying the game last year at Ohio State in my head. It was a good first half. Yeah. And then Michigan just punched them in the mouth in the third and fourth quarter. And I said this on social media last year. It was like the Ohio State team quit. They quit in the fourth quarter. There was some big runs, and they just got mopped. And now this is the Michigan us against the world again. They didn't have Harbaugh for the first 4 games. They don't have him for the last 3 games. I think Ohio State is moving in the right directions, especially defensively, and you're spot on. Yeah. McCord's no C.J. Stroud. And it was funny that you brought up the Ohio State-Georgia game, because that's the first time we saw Stroud actually run the ball. It was like, hey, no one thinks we're going to win here. We were fortunate to get here. And he played his balls off, and he had an amazing game. And Marvin Harrison Jr. got hurt in that game and had to leave the game in the second half there. So it's a McCord and Marvin Harrison Jr. And would I be shocked if Marvin Harrison Jr. was, 8 for 128 and 2 or 3? No, I wouldn't, because he's been in the rearview mirror on the Heisman talk as well. So they have the talent, they have the weapons. There'll be 100,000 Mays screamers and hollowers, team khaki. And again, it's that high noon kickoff. It's not the 3:30. It's not the 7:30 or 8 o'clock that gives these guys a chance to get all lathered up there. I assume game day will be there as well. Hard-fought victory. And like last year, the loser is technically not out. Both will state their case that a one loss still deserves to be there. We'll have to wait and see. But I expect a good, hard-fought game. It is a toss-up. Again, my only true statement in this is if you like the dog here and you think they can win the game outright, just sprinkle something on them to get to the Final Four, to win it all, just because that will give you hedge opportunities if Ohio State does win the game.
Yep, 100%. And really the last thing I'll say is, you can say whatever you want about Ryan Day, but it does appear that he's got him and the team might have a bigger chip on their shoulder than they did the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years ago, they kind of expect to steamroll Michigan because that's what they've done. Last year, it seemed like, as you mentioned, it was a great game in the first half, and then they get smacked in the mouth and they quit. Kind of seemed like they expected to just bounce back because they're Ohio State and they just know how to beat Michigan, and they didn't. And now I don't think they have any of that. I assume they will have some type of chip on their shoulder. Does that mean they're going to win? No. Michigan has managed to continue to find ways to keep a chip on their own shoulder. So I don't think Michigan's coming in expecting to steamroll Ohio State the way Ohio State used to expect that. So it's going to be an awesome game. I can't wait. So I guess I didn't check the weather, but I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy there on Saturday. Obviously, still a few days away, unlike we normally are, but I am excited for that one. And obviously, the loser is going to be big fans of Washington, big fans of Georgia, and big fans of Texas Tech this weekend against Texas, and then obviously whoever Texas is playing. Am I behind the eight ball? Do we know who Texas is going to play in the Big 12 championship, or is that not set in stone yet?
I don't know. Maybe Russell might know that one. If we were waiting for that Oklahoma-Texas rematch. I don't think they're going to get that. Obviously, Oklahoma State was in the driver's seat, and then they've had a few hiccups. I'm not sure who's on the other side there at this point. Do you know?
Texas might not even be clinched officially. Because they're 7-1, and then OK State, OU, and K State are all 6-2. So Texas, with that loss to Oklahoma, might not even technically be clinched for it. If they lose to Texas Tech, then who cares anyway? It doesn't matter really, anyways. But you know what I mean. If they win, obviously, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the breakdown is if those other three teams win, who they're all favored by, at least 10 on Friday, Saturday as well, those three teams. So I don't know.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. All right. We are about an hour, my friend. Good Big Ten show here, especially highlighting some football. If we want to touch real quick, beyond today, I don't know if there's potential more matchups with some of these tournaments that might play out here. And we can throw in, there's obviously the Tennessee and Kansas game here in a couple of hours. And you kind of alluded to that Marquette game and Purdue game, and I totally agree with you as far as a nice statement towards Purdue there. Anything to talk about as far as those bigger college basketball games today? The one to throw in, Memphis and Michigan could be a good one there in the afternoon as well. Battle for Atlantis. But obviously, you've got the two top 10 matchups. And we talked about Purdue and Marquette in a little bit. Anything else to add out of those handful of games?
I'm going to do a quick eye test here in the college hoops, and then maybe as we slowly wrap this up, we can talk a few seconds about the 3 NFL games on tomorrow. Maybe you got a prop hidden on your desk somewhere that you could talk about. But 2:30 start. Let me see. Big 12 isn't set until after this weekend. Thank you, Russell. Interesting game for the eyes, at least. Villanova, Texas Tech. Villanova 3.5 with a 129. Now 3.5 with a 128. Villanova was about a week, 10 days ago with a stunning loss. I think it was at Penn. Had a nice bounce back after that there. You talked about Michigan, Memphis. Another Jekyll and Hyde from the Wolverines. Who did they lose to? They had a big upset loss not too long ago. Who was that to, Riley?
Long Beach State, I want to say.
Yeah. So, again, we're already into this. And they'll be calling for what's his name said by the end of this year, you watch. So, I had a Memphis, a 1 with a 160. It's down to 153.5. So a 7-point correction there at 5 p.m. If anyone take a look at potentially the over there, or if you can get around 150 through 153, there's a 7-point difference there. So take a look at that. Talked about Tennessee, Kansas. I had a 1.5 with a 141. Now 1 with a 140. Now listen, guys, I'm a huge Tennessee fan. I think they're fully athletic. They can play with anyone. They've got great defense. We know what Rick Barnes is in the tourney, though. I get all that. They'll be at the top or near the top of the SEC all year. Kansas, absolutely boat race yesterday by Marquette. Looked like there's a tiff with Bill Swift and Shaka there, and I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. Big spot here for Kansas to get off the map and say, hey, we just laid an egg. Marquette got us, but we're going to make a statement here. I think I remember correct, I think Kansas hosts UConn next week too. So another big game for Kansas there. I would expect a bounce back from Kansas here. I won't be on that game, but I would expect that they'll be ready for that one. Riley, your Wisconsin Badgers 7-point favorites with a 144.5 against SMU. Now 8 at Circa with a 138.5. I think we'll be saying this all year. Which Wisconsin team do we get? The one that traveled to Providence, or the one that steamrolled Virginia there? An 8-point number, big statement there. Again, you get some 138s to a 144.5. I get sniped on SMU team total over on Monday. Scored 25 points in the first half, 45 in the second half, and we got stuck on 70, and it was a 73. I expect some points to be scored in that one. Keep an eye on both team totals there to go over the mark there. That's about it there, Riley. I brought up tomorrow there's 3 football games, all divisional games. Just talking out loud, I had Green Bay, Detroit with a 7 with a 45.5. Now it's 47 with a 7.5. I think the Sharps will be on your Packers plus the 7.5 there. Don't forget, Lions already won in Lambeau there. Again, I not a strong lane, but if you're going to give me 7.5, I'll take a shot with the Packers there. Washington, Dallas, 11 with a 44.5, now 12.5 with a 48.5. Washington, 6 turnovers against the Giants last week. Absolutely laid an egg. You'd expect a bounce back from Washington, but again, Dak and CD the last month, especially at home, this team's averaging almost 40 points at home their last 3 games. Mr. Lucky stat that's out on Twitter, the last 12 games on Thanksgiving, Dallas is 1-11 versus the spread. So, as much as people are going to run, and I think this game is set up for a blowout, you could get a bounce back from Washington, and the back door always open. So listen, I think everyone that wants action probably does a 3-team tease: Detroit to win, Dallas to win by a field goal, and then you take a Seattle plus 16, or you can grab a 49er plus 2 there. And the late game, 6.5 43 San Fran, now 7-44. I think it's going to be tighter. Seattle coming off a tough loss. 49ers have won 2 in a row since the break. I like this 24-20 49ers, but I think Seattle covers.
No, I can't add too much. I'll add some, fill in the cracks a little bit with some specifics. But as far as the broad sense, I kind of agree with you on a lot of these. This Packers game, from one angle, it obviously concerns me because I've seen in person 2 of the last 3. This Lions team, there's not only a revenge factor for this year, but Lions 3 in a row now going back to last year, and unfortunately, I was in attendance for 2 of those 3, so I am hoping we get the revenge here myself. But as far as that game is concerned, I'm looking not so much at this early season game against these two teams, but kind of looking at the two games that we saw last year, 15-9 Detroit win and then 20-16 win. I think these defenses will show up a little bit more this upcoming week here. Detroit kind of played around defensively with Chicago. Obviously, Jared Goff, 3 turnovers led to some of that there. So I could see a better defensive effort, and I do lean the Packers covering in the game, staying under the total in that one. One concern, though, I mean, some of these weapons for the Packers have been looking better these last couple of weeks. Luke Musgraves, though, apparently played through a lacerated kidney half the game last week against the Chargers. I saw him coming up holding his side the other day against the Chargers, and I was expecting him to be out, and then he came back in later to find out yesterday or Monday that he was in the hospital after that game and up for a little bit of a scary situation there. So it sounds like he won't be there, which is a shame because he was starting to look really good. Or I shouldn't say look really good, but making some big progressions rookie year tight end there. So they got to go to Tucker Kraft if that is the case, who actually himself has been looking a little better there. Aside and the Packers offensive line, it is a little concerning, obviously, with some pass rush here. Has been better than it was the first time these two teams played from at least across the board standpoint here. So I do like that a little bit more here, but obviously, you got to dip into your running back pool with definitely no Aaron Jones this week. And then the other one, Washington Dallas, obviously inflated spread, like you said there. I'm looking for, if I'm going to prop, they've kind of been, they've obviously been using him and he's been fine. I think they'll start to kind of unleash, and it seems like they're trying to keep Tony Pollard as fresh as possible and not, drive him into the ground the first half of the season here. So I think this could be a good point, especially if they're up a touchdown, 10 points in the second half here to kind of hammer home some Tony Pollard. Carries give him a lot of touches a lot more touches than we've seen the last few weeks. So I like him a lot in fantasy. Obviously a tough guy to not play anyways, but I like him a lot in fantasy, and I like him, I think, is somewhere in the 60s was his rushing total. So I like him to get up over that, maybe score a touchdown too, as far as props is concerned. And, I'm with you as far as leaning towards Seattle on the last one. Their defense is still really, really solid for what it's worth there. There's a lot of concerns as far as their offense and Geno, this and that. But defensively, they're a team that obviously, especially in the spot where 6-4, don't want to slip to 6-5 against a divisional opponent here. You win this game, you're actually kind of in the driver's seat to potentially make a run at winning this division, let alone making the playoffs here. So I like Seattle to cover. Not sure if they'll win, but like a good defensive effort from Seattle to keep that one close for sure in the late game there.
So much action. We got college basketball around the clock. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I want to thank the NHL for being dark yesterday and 14 games today. I got, dozens upon dozens college basketball, NBA. I mean, there is so much to go through. Anyone new to ECSI, we have sources all around the globe here, and we got spreadsheets. We got more numbers than 9X. And if you don't know who 9X is, Google it. My point is, we start tracking, the games the night before where we get the true opening numbers. So it's like NASA here, it's like on the floor of the Bellagio, slot machines alerts, bing, 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 bing. My puppy here, who will turn 1 soon, is bouncing around. He's looking up for all these sounds going on. So my point is, remember what tomorrow's all about. It's about Thanksgiving. It's about family. And I know there's football on. I know there's college basketball. I get all that. And listen, you're talking to someone who hasn't had a day off in almost 10 years because, we provide information to clients / family all around the globe. And January 1st, 2024 will be our 9-year anniversary, the start of our 9th year. So I still work amongst the holidays. But my point is, be grateful. You're just not guaranteed tomorrow. And the reason I said that, I got some crushing news from a cousin, a family member that's battling some health issues, and they got some tests back, and not guaranteed guaranteed, 6 months now, and it's going to still be going through the treatments and stuff, but an uphill battle, and so the holidays aren't easy for everyone too. Whether it's family issue, children, kids issues, not being able to spend it with the people that you want. So I kind of tread lightly. Just because you're having a great day doesn't mean someone else is having that same great day, and vice versa. We come in, I talk about, 6 days out of the week, I'm the fire hydrant, and then on the seventh day, I'm the dog. Life isn't easy, and so just take it in stride. And if you got to play the NFL games tomorrow to scratch an itch, play them. If you don't have a say in the matter, don't play it. So, it's the holiday season. A lot of your radio stations, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and then you turn the dial on Friday morning, and there's the Christmas music. Every commercial now, other than DraftKings or FanDuel, will now be Christmas commercials. So, 'tis the season, and just take it in stride. And listen, guys, anyone here that needs to vent, holler, scream, yell, or just needs somewhere to talk, my DMs are open at EC Sports Invest. I've been through hell and back. I'm not going to tell everyone my story here. That's for another show. I've lived in hell for a long, long time back in my middle-aged years. It's not a fun place. I was able to battle out of it, and I went to school also. I have a certificate for advocating in addiction and counseling. I do a lot of that on a daily basis, people reaching out to me to talk. So just take it slow. I try to tell everyone during these times, and I do it every day, count to 10 before you speak. God gave us 2 ears for a reason. One, to process the madness, the bullshit, the drama, and the second ear is just to let it out. And if something doesn't hit you right, before you act or act out, count to 10 and then breathe and then say what you wanted to say. And you'll see most of the times it's not going to be as hard fought, or the demons and the daggers coming out. So that's my closing thoughts. Riley, closing thoughts?
Come on, man. How am I supposed to follow that perfect sermon up from you there, my friend? I can't add anything to that. That was fantastic. No, like you said, count your blessings, and obviously tomorrow is a day of being thankful for what you do have, no matter what it is there. So I can't too much to that, my friend. Obviously the holidays are right around the corner. I know Sirius XM is going to be free on my car, and it's going to be turned into some Christmas music, I think, probably Thursday night. Not by my doing, but probably happening Thursday night. But aside from that, no, I'm excited for everything going on as far as Thanksgiving tomorrow, and obviously all these sports are concerned. So we'll be excited to get back in the saddle next week, my friend, but going to enjoy the next few days, obviously, with family and some sports on my end of the things, my friend. So thank you for a great 2-3 days of shows already this week before we get into the holidays.
Yes, shout out to Mr. Billy Hewlin. Shout out to TJ. Shout out, of course, to Mr. Russell Saylor. 3 o'clock, weather and internet are permitting. 3 Men in a Box, myself, Matt Grissom, and Quentin Mills will talk some NCAA football. And then at 5 o'clock, again, weather and internet permitting, Ron Marmolevsky at Ron A Sports will come back for our closing bell. This is kind of our Friday on Wednesday, as Riley suggested. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be dark. I'll be on social media. I'll send out some tweets, some leans and stuff that we might have there. But we wanted everyone, our team, our family, our staff, to enjoy the long holiday weekend and week, to enjoy the family, to enjoy football, to be grateful. And that's what we're here for. And myself and Riley will swing back on Monday with a big recap. We'll try to keep it under 2 hours that day, but we'll have a better idea what's going on in the Final Four in college football. We'll recap some basketball tournaments, some NFL, and so on. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. Wish everyone a blessed day and holiday season. If you're around, come catch us at 3 and 5. If not, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, and we will see you soon.